Welcome once more. Last week, we were looking at what silence is doing to our families, how we need to talk in order to make our families united once again. Today, I would like us to look at the call of Levi in Mark chapter 2, verse 13 to 17. One of the things I like us to understand is the fact that communication always demands some words. To therefore make effective communication, we need to use words. The words we speak represent us, and we can be held responsible for our words. God can discern the thoughts of the human person. We witness Jesus here calling a tax collector someone whom no one in the society wanted to associate with. In the days of Jesus, tax collectors were very bad people. Not to talk of a chief tax collector. They were good in adding tax so as to keep in their pockets and do one or two things with it. They were just like some officers we have now who can only sign your papers if you can give them more. Because of this, being their friend was being an enemy to the community. Jesus calls Levi, and Levi was able to get the power of words. Words made Levi to leave from his office and follow Christ. In selecting a tax collector, Jesus calls the least likely person to follow him. As a tax collector under the Roman occupation force, Levi was not permitted to enter a synagogue or to go up to the temple. He was excommunicated from social contact with faithful. He could not associate with law-abiding Jews. It is not that good to think of somebody living in such a situation. We are not here saying God will choose crooked people for religious leadership, but that his words penetrate the divide between soul and spirit, joints and marrow. He judges the thoughts of the heart, recognizes potential in people whom others too quickly discard. There may be many whose growth we have undersized by failing to second their ideas or show trust in their ability. Other people may have seen in Levi under the taxman the non-observer of the law, saving the foreign oppressors. But Jesus recognized someone with a compassionate heart, hopeful towards others. In fact, the very dispositions attributed to God Himself as He led the Israelites out of Egypt and prepared for the covenant on Mount Sinai. Leaders ought to recognize and encourage the good qualities in others. Jesus not only calls Levi, but also accepts Levi's invitation to dine in his home with all his friends and fellow tax collectors. With this, friendship is established, like Jesus, who shared the very depths of our human experience. The good church pastor will understand the range of emotions and even temptations experienced by people today. The scriptures combine a pure insight into ideals and a compassionate view of human nature, two essential qualities for religious leaders. This story reminds us that Christ is happy to be in our company, even if we have fallen short of what is expected of us, even when we are far from being all that we can become. Our failings and weaknesses do not drive the Lord away from us. Rather, His presence to us in our failings and weaknesses lifts us up. We always come before God in our brokenness, and He never drives us away. His table is always set for us, and there is always a place for us there, regardless of where we are in life. When we listen to our hearts, we hear Christ calling out to us, "Follow me," just as He calls Levi the tax collector. Can we answer Christ's call and invite Him to our life? With Christ in our families, we can live as one again. Words are powerful. When we talk to each other, we become close like Jesus and Levi. Just because of mere words, "Follow me," Christ was able to turn a tax collector. Instead of a tax collector following Christ to give him money to pay his tax, Christ turned him and he followed Christ without even knowing where and what was to be his future. But he invited Christ, and that was a changing experience in his life. Remember, when you do the right thing, people will not like to see you. That is what happened to Christ. Because Christ was dining with a tax collector, they tell him, "Look at this man. How can he be eating with tax collectors?" But because Christ can see the heart, Christ saw what was in their hearts and spoke aloud. Let us talk to Christ. Let us talk to one another. And with this, God will make us one. Thank you for coming back. We'll meet again next week.